Have you ever noticed how some people can spend hours talking, laughing, moving from one conversation to another, and somehow leave feeling more energized than when they arrived? But for other people, the experience feels completely different. They participate in the conversation, they smile, they listen carefully, they even enjoy the people around them. And yet, when everything ends, something strange happens. A deep exhaustion begins to appear. Not the kind of tiredness you feel after physical effort. This is something quieter, something mental, as if the mind has been running in the background for too long. And the confusing part is that nothing dramatic happened. No conflict, no stress, just a normal social interaction. Yet when they finally get home, close the door, and sit in silence, they realize how drained they really feel. And at some point, a question quietly appears in their mind. Why does something so ordinary take so much energy? To understand this, imagine the human mind as a system that constantly scans the environment for information. While some people move through conversations almost automatically, others are processing far more signals at the same time. They notice subtle changes in tone of voice. They see small shifts in facial expressions. They sense when someone becomes slightly uncomfortable, even when nobody says it out loud. Their brain is quietly observing patterns the entire time. Who is speaking more? Who suddenly became quiet? Who laughed a little too quickly? None of this is necessarily conscious, but it is happening continuously, and every piece of information requires mental processing. It is similar to having multiple tabs open on a computer at the same time. Each tab might be small on its own, but together they slowly consume the system's energy. By the time the conversation ends, the mind has already spent far more resources than most people realize. But there is another invisible process happening during social interactions for certain people. Before they respond to something, their mind often runs through several internal filters. How will this sound if I say it this way? Could this be misunderstood? Is this the right moment to speak? While the conversation flows on the surface, these small calculations are happening quietly inside. They help maintain harmony in social situations. They help avoid awkward moments or unnecessary tension. But each of these micro-decisions requires cognitive energy. It's similar to driving through a crowded city instead of an empty road. Even if the distance is short, your attention must stay constantly active. You watch the traffic lights, the pedestrians, the other cars, adjusting your movements every few seconds. When you finally arrive, you might wonder why you feel so mentally tired. Social interaction can work in the same way for minds that naturally analyze more of what is happening around them. There is also something else that often happens during these interactions. Some people do not simply hear what others say. They absorb the emotional weight behind the words. When someone shares frustration, they feel a small portion of that frustration internally. When someone talks about a difficult experience, their mind begins to imagine what that must have felt like. This type of emotional processing is subtle, but it is powerful. It means conversations are rarely just exchanges of information. They become experiences that the brain partially relives. Over time, this creates a kind of emotional accumulation. Each story, each tone of voice, each hidden tension in the room adds another layer for the mind to process. By the end of the interaction, the brain has been carrying far more than simple words. That is why, when these people finally find themselves alone again, silence feels almost restorative. The absence of social signals allows the mind to slow down. Thoughts begin to reorganize themselves, emotional impressions settle into place. It becomes possible to return to a natural internal rhythm. From the outside, it might look like someone is simply being quiet or distant, but internally, something important is happening. The mind is recalibrating. It is processing everything that happened during those hours of interaction. And this is not necessarily about disliking people. In fact, many individuals who feel exhausted after socializing genuinely enjoy meaningful conversations. They value deep connections. They care about understanding how others think and feel. The exhaustion comes not from the presence of people, but from the intensity with which their mind engages with every interaction. Interestingly, this same sensitivity that creates social fatigue often comes with an unexpected advantage. People who process social environments this deeply tend to understand human behavior in ways others might overlook. They notice patterns in conversations. They sense emotional shifts before they are openly expressed.
They can often read the atmosphere of a room within seconds. These abilities make them thoughtful listeners and perceptive observers. But every strength comes with a cost. In this case, the cost is energy. Just as a powerful engine uses more fuel, a mind that processes more social information naturally requires more time to recharge. And this is why solitude becomes so valuable for certain personalities. Moments alone are not about isolation, they are about restoration. In silence, the mind no longer needs to monitor facial expressions, interpret tone of voice, or anticipate social reactions. It can simply exist without analysis. In those moments, something interesting begins to happen. Thoughts become clearer, creativity often appears, insights about life and people emerge naturally. The same mind that once felt overwhelmed by social noise begins to feel calm and focused again. So if you sometimes feel unusually exhausted after spending time around people, it may not be a weakness at all.
It may simply mean that your mind interacts with the social world more deeply than most. While some people move quickly through conversations, others absorb the layers beneath them. And because of that, they need more time in silence to reset. But that same depth of perception often allows them to understand human nature in ways that are difficult to teach. In a noisy world full of constant interaction, these individuals quietly carry something rare: the ability to notice what others miss, to feel what others overlook, and to think about people with unusual clarity. And perhaps that is why, when they finally find conversations that feel genuine and effortless, something different happens. Instead of exhaustion, they feel something much more powerful: the quiet relief of being understood.